How do folks, Bones here. A friend of mine suggested I do a little walk through my workshop. Might be interested to some people, might not be. So without further ado, we'll have a little walk through and I'll show you what I've got in here in this tight space I've got. I've got my jam sandwich, I've got my cup of coffee ready. So let's go, let's have a wander. So I've got these are two sheds really, it's not one. I originally had this side. And when I expanded, I needed more space, as you do. And wondering what I was going to do, I found the exact same shed for sale down the road, actually, at a shed place, believe it or not. So I purchased it, put some hard standing down, butted it up to the original, smashed a doorway through, and away we go. So this must be the smallest corridor in the world. So we'll go through the corridor. Watch your head here, it's a bit low. Excuse me, I haven't got coronavirus, I promise. Just got a bit of a cold coming, I think. So in this side we've got a small linisher, a small bandsaw, a small milling machine and a small lathe. So down that side is pretty much what I call the dirty side, and I do all my sort of grubby stuff on this side. On this side I've got a sewing machine, a couple of arbor presses, a bit of bench space, the usual PC, hand tools, that sort of carry on. Bit more bench space there for sort of dirty stuff. So yeah, so that's this side. So the linisher is what it is. Do a bit of sanding. Bandsaw, yeah, it's cheap, small. I just do a little bit of cutting out brass, aluminium, that sort of stuff. Nothing too strenuous for that little thing. The Walco milling machine, that's all right. It's had a lot of use actually. I've had this about 10 years. I've had to replace the motor probably, I don't know, a couple of years ago when that it blew up on me. But it is what it is. It's one of those Asian machines. It's a bit rattly here and there, but maybe one day I'll buy something a bit more substantial or bigger. But as you can see, I haven't got a great deal of space, so who knows when that will be. The Myford lathe, that's the pride and joy. I've got another video on that, so I won't dwell on that too much. It is what it is. It's a lovely machine. I bought this probably about 6 or 7 months ago from a guy who'd had it in storage for, I don't know, 10 years or so. So it's had very little use at all. And when I got it, it just needed a bit of, it needed re-greasing, degunking, touch up with paint, and it was good to go. But yeah, I've done a few little bits and bobs to it, but I think that's all in another video, so have a gander at that if you get a moment, or if you're that way inclined to do so. Back wall, usual stuff, bit of tooling, nuts and bolt rack, spare stuff you don't use a great deal at the top. Around here, little bit of scrap leather area. This is my main job, is making watch straps, believe it or not. I've been doing that for about 15 years now, but I've been doing it full time for probably about don't know, 9, 10, nearly 10 years. I was in the RAF for a long time, and I used this exact same machine in my job in the RAF. I was a survival equipment fitter, so I, among other things, repaired parachutes, harnesses, that sort of thing. So I was well used to this machine. When I bought it off eBay, it was about 80 quid I think I paid for it, and yeah, it's really served me well, it has. Just keeps on going. So this side, yeah, I spent most of my time on the Jag Force, on various squadrons and that. I was lucky enough to get blag myself 3 flights in the T-Birds when I was at Lossiemouth. I was at Coningsby for a time as well, and I was lucky enough to fly in PA 474, the BBMF Lancaster as well. So that was a nice little trip. I don't think they do that anymore for the RAF guys, but back then you could sort of, if you know, sweet talk to them or you had a silky tongue, as it were, you could blag a trip, and I did one Sunday, and yeah, it was fantastic. Well, it was flying on a Lancaster. How bad can it be? Various squadron patches and stuff from detachments, squadron exchanges. So that's that side really. I don't think I've really missed anything out. It is what it is. So that side is the dirty side, where I do sort of more of the sort of, you know, filthy sort of stuff. So coming in, as if I was coming in the front door, I've got my laser cutter here, which I can't do without. I use this all the time in my normal job, as it were. So on this I can engrave leather, cut MDF and engrave MDF and plywood, anything organic really. It can't do metal unfortunately, but yeah, I spent a small fortune on this, but it's been well worth its weight in gold, and it's earned its money, it really has. So I haven't done any modifications to it, apart from this extraction unit was from the back, so it was underneath underneath here. It went through, the smoke went through here, down these slots there, and down these slots here, and then out, and it was a bit of a excuse me, I thought it was a bit of a convoluted way of it escaping, plus it brought the machine right far out, so the machine was kind of sticking out about here. So I laser cut this plastic and put the extraction on there, and it works well, but the smoke obviously goes all over the gubbins now, over the head, so every now and then I've just got to give that a degunk and a clean down. I went through a phase of making plaques and stuff for people. There's a couple of examples there. They're MDF painted up, and they look really nice actually, but they're just such a faff to make. I never really bothered. These black and silver ones I like because they look kind of like the old school cast iron ones I used to get. They've got the nice bit of depth to them. But every now and then I'll do one if somebody asks. But most of the time I just I don't do that sort of stuff anymore. Moving on, we've got a cold cast bronze of a bulldog that my mum made. My mum was an artist back in the day. She used to breed mastiffs and show them at Crufts and stuff, but she was also pretty dab hand at making stuff, and she made loads of different breeds of dogs and sold them at Crufts. There's another one there. Another one there. So she's no longer with us unfortunately, but when she went I was left with a load of these that I'd not sold, or she had of her own sort of collection, so it's nice to have those lying around. So I kind of got into astronomy. I've always been interested in astronomy, and I've got this crappy little telescope. It cost me 50 quid off eBay, and it's pretty rubbish. It's nice to look at the moon when the moon's low, bright and big, but apart from that it's not very good. The tripod wobbles about all over, so when you've got the maximum magnification on your reticle here, the moon, any vibration in there and the moon's like all over the gaff. I did want to do some photography, but it's just any tiny vibration and it's off. I was going to put a post inside the in some concrete in the garden and just have it so I could hook it on and off as and when, but it's one of those things I haven't got around to. Right, let me just have a slurp of coffee. So this engraving machine, I use this a lot with my normal job, making watch straps. I have my own buckles, and the customer can have either some off the peg ones, or they can choose to have their own design put on there in the size constraints of the buckle. So I use this all the time. You can do mechanical engraving where there's a little cutter that actually cuts into the metal, something like that, and then you can paint it as you want. Or you can do diamond drag. So if you don't know, it's just basically a diamond which just scratches the surface of the metal, and you can adjust the you can see there, you can adjust the pressure of it with that knob there, and it's good for fine detail, but you can't paint diamond drag, so you just end up with a scratched surface basically. You've seen it before, haven't you, on various things, but I much prefer the mechanical cutting, but because it's so much bigger the end, it's difficult to get as much detail in as you want to. Sorry, just had another slurp of coffee there. So the 3D printer I bought, I thought I was going to make a load of stuff for the workshop, screwdriver stands, you know, hammer stands, little shelves, that sort of thing, but I haven't done anything. I've just basically made a few silly little bits and bobs with it. I've made a few things for this with it, a few daft things like the, you know, like that. And it's just kind of sat there. But it was 200 quid, and I'll tell you, for 200 quid it's been bloody brilliant. It's a little bit of a faff to set up, but once it's set up it prints really nice. And I printed this bypass engine some time ago. These are from files on a place called Thingiverse, if you haven't seen them. So they're all printed off on that machine there, and it does a really nice job. As you can see, the detail on the prints is pretty incredible. If you don't know about 3D printing, you can set the parameters to sort of fine print, coarse print or quick print, and obviously the finer the print, the more detail you get in there. But obviously again then it takes a lot longer. Some of these parts like this, I think something like that, I think that took about 10 hours to print. You know, it takes forever. And this section here, I think that was about the same. So what can happen is you can start printing something, 5 hours into the print something will go wrong and you've wasted all that time. But generally it's been good, and once it starts a print off good, you'll see it through to the end. So yeah, if you haven't done any 3D printing, it's worth having a look. It's good fun. You can make a lot of different things on it, and there's a hell of a lot of free files out there for you to just use as you want, you know. I'm making another one at the minute, which I might complete at some stage when I get a bit of time. But yeah, it's just all time, isn't it, you know. So this is a if I can just move this. So that's the fan section off the other one. Look, needs a bit of a clean up, but you can see the detail on there. Pretty good. This is a little project I'm making called a big wing. So it's basically loosely based off a Spitfire wing. So I've made all these ribs and all these cross sections and the spars and stuff, and it's going to be kind of like a weird trinket box. So you'll be able to put your cufflinks in there, or watches even, or whatever you want. But it'll be nice. Be nice when it's done. Done all the rivets. Well, rivets, fake rivets on the aluminium skin. So the idea was that it could be either a benchtop sort of ornament, or it can hang upright on a wall, which will look quite cool as well. So it's going back to some of my rafters, the Buccaneers, fantastic aircraft, the Jags, the Black Cat, the Chat Noir. That's a little test piece I made for the James Bond air breather off. Is it Dr. No? Yeah, Dr. No, I think it is. The Lightning, favourite aircraft. Hunters, worked on them. So yeah, so that's my space basically in here. So as you can see, it's tiny really compared to what some people on YouTube have got, and I'm pretty jealous of a lot of people. Well, I shouldn't be really, because I've got a nice little setup here. When I first started, I had that sewing machine under the stairs, and that's all I had, basically just the space under the stairs with a bit of racking for webbing and Velcro. And but time progresses, and as you get on and you build up, it's amazing how soon you collect stuff, and as you go through life you collect stuff and build on what you've got. And I'm pretty chuffed with my space. It's not perfect by any means, but it is what it is, and it's all mine, so I'm really pleased with it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little run through of my workshop. If you've got any questions at all, pop them down below and I'll be happy to answer them if I can. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. If you're not English, or well, if you're not British and you don't understand what I'm saying, you need a little translation sheet, ask me. I've got quite a thick accent, and even UK people can't understand me half the time anyways, but there you go. So cheers folks, hope you enjoyed that, hope you enjoy what you're doing, hope you're all staying safe with this crap storm that is coronavirus. Hopefully we'll get back to a bit more normal in 2021, and we can all get out doing the things we all love doing. Last year was a bit rubbish for everyone, wasn't it? But it is what it is. And like I say, 2021, hopefully, fingers crossed, it's going to be the year everything gets a bit better. Cheers, folks. See you soon. Have fun. Ta-da.